Hello and welcome everyone. This is Vidashri Das from the CSR Universe, a platform dedicated to discussing the most important aspects of sustainability and corporate social responsibility. I'm joined by my colleague Ruchika Kumar, editor, the CSR Universe. Today, we are here for yet another riveting interaction with Mr. Navdeep Mehram, Vice President of Corporate Social Responsibility and Sustainability, Diageo India. Mr. Mehram brings with him 24 years of experience in CSR and sustainability across a wide range of sectors and has worked with both corporate and community based organizations. Apart from leading Diageo's sustainability initiatives, Mr. Mehram has also held a variety of roles, including CII's National CSR Committee, FICCI's Water Mission, and ASOCHAM's National CSR Council, to count just a few. It's great to have you here with us, Mr. Mehram. Shall we start the discussion?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Badashri, and thank you, Ruchika. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mehram, Diageo recently collaborated with the Skill Council for Persons with Disability to train 300 students in the food and beverage industry. 300 is a massive number. Could you tell us how Diageo is supporting SCPWD with the initiative? And also, if I may ask, how does it align with your long-term sustainability goals?
Yeah, thanks, Badashri. I think this is a very unique and a close to my heart project. But I think before we look into this particular partnership, let me give a broader context to this conversation today. So Diageo basically have a 10-year long strategy, which is called Society 2030 Spirit of Progress. It's our 10-year strategy on ESG. And within that, there are three very strong must-dos or pillars, we call them. One is on promoting positive drinking. Second one is championing inclusion and diversity. And third one is grain to glass sustainability. Now, these are big bucket items. And within that, since you talked about SCPWD, that falls under our championing inclusion and diversity must-do, where we are actually making all efforts we can to have more diverse and inclusive workforce, not only within our factories, but also citizens who should be included and not given opportunity, and especially people with disability. So we kind of looked into this space, and we also found that in the business and hospitality sector, there are many areas where people with disability do not get opportunity to work, and partially because they do not get the opportunity to get the nuances and the skills that is required. And we all know that these days businesses hire people who are plug and play. They don't hire people who they have to train.
Yes.
So finding that opportunity, not a gap, but I think it was an opportunity we identified. And luckily, Government of India, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and Ministry of Skill Development, they have established Skill Council for people with disability. You have many sector skill councils on skilling, which is more focused on the sectors, for example, apparel sector, textile sector, manufacturing sector. But this council is for people with disability because it's a subject that has to be handled very sensitively. So we were lucky enough to engage with them, and last year we forged partnership, and we looked at a special disability, which is speech and hearing impaired people. And at businesses, hospitality, workplace, people figure out their meal, people figure out what to order from the menus, if there are inclusive menus. There is more, let's say, positive ecosystem for these people to come and join. So considering that, we partnered with the Skill Council for People with Disability, and very professional team. We are absolutely happy with the work they do. It's a residential program. It's a very unique, it's not any other skilling program. These people with disability, they have to come out of their homes, step out of their comfort zone, even step out socially because they were so dependent at their parents or whosoever takes care of them at home. So it's not only just the skill of hospitality sector, it's the confidence to step out. It is the way you socialize with normal people or with other people outside their comfort zone or outside the zone they were in. And 110 speech and hearing impaired people were trained last year. uh, while they say, I think in your journalism term, you say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So when we got offers from Taj Corbett, we got offers from Royal Orchid, we got offer from Lapino Pizza. These are the offers which we got, and then when these people got placed, the kind of response from these properties came. Taj and everybody, they started really looking at how to include them, not by just a one more manpower in the system, but how the ecosystem can inculcate things which can support them to
Hmm.
continue in
Yeah.
this job and not
Yeah.
drop out. So I think this is unique. And then going forward, we then committed another 300. It's a very, very complex training program because it's residential. You have females, males, then they have first time come out of their homes, staying in a boarding kind of a situation, manage their clothing, their cleanliness, hygiene, so many things on top of the skilling program. And then, their communication skills and how they socialize when they join any other job. And even if they have to migrate to any other place, they should be ready for that because, as we know, these are scarce jobs and they cannot be concentrated in locations where we are finding them. But yeah, it is gaining traction and we are proud of it.
If I may ask, two questions actually. A, how did you go about selecting these individuals? There must be some criteria. And second, do you plan to continue this program in the future, given the positive response you've got from so many parties?
Uh, so, in terms of finding out these people, because as I said, we were lucky enough to find first SCPWD because they know the universe. They've been working
Hmm.
on this for last 10 years. So the process of, let's say, scouting these candidates is that there are generally some kind of posters and some kind of flyers are sent out to the community which they already know.
Hmm.
Then there is a registration and a counseling setup done for a 1 week's time. Parents with their children or these candidates will come attend the session. What is this training program? What are we going to do? What kind of skill set will be provided? What kind of handholding, boarding, lodging, and then for future placements and all. So once the candidate and the parents are convinced or the guardians are convinced, then proper registration process happens, verification of documentation, etc. All of that
Hmm.
process happens. And then these candidates are put into the batches. We also saw very few, but we saw some dropouts because obviously everybody cannot adjust to a new environment.
Yeah.
But I think first batch we had dropouts. After that, we never had any dropouts. Few candidates, even after doing some training, were not able to adjust to the job scenario also. They also have the choice to go back home and maybe look into some other opportunity. Some candidates have some family members' businesses where now they're confident they can, even if it is a
Yeah.
kirana shop, they can go and help with their family members, all of that. But given all that, at least we have provided them skills for life. That's what we call it, right? It's learning for life, our program, which we call, and they've got something learned from our program and gone there. Your second question, sorry, I forgot.
Do you continue? Do you wish to continue this
Yeah.
program, and to what extent do you want to expand it?
So it's a very expensive proposition. Just to give you a number difference, so it's 10 times expensive. So keeping that in mind, I will answer your question. Uh, we'll split that to three parts, I think, to your question. I think one, absolutely, as part of inclusion and diversity, we are committed on this particular project, and we will definitely continue as long as we get candidates, as long as those candidates get better placements, their life changes. I think that's the first objective, and we will continue on that. On the numbers part, again, is all tied up with number of candidates coming in and saying, okay, we need more candidate. As long as this demand supply is a rich balance, it's not that
Hmm.
we have so many candidate trains and there are so many less takers in the market, then there is no point. So
Hmm.
keeping that in mind, today we have reached 300. I don't know, we will reach 400, 500, 1000. I don't know. But yes, as long as we are making a difference, as long as there is a balance of demand supply, we will continue to be committed on this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Mehram. Moving on to the next question. By the way, congratulations on the Alliance for Water Stewardship certification Diageo got for the Alwar distillery, if I'm not wrong. Could you
Yes.
tell us how this aligns with the Society 2030 action plan that you just spoke about?
Yeah. So it's first of all, it's a great feather in the cap, and it's not an easy task.
Yes.
It took us 2 years before COVID, and then COVID, and 2 years after COVID to
Okay.
achieve that kind of a certification. It takes a lot on in terms of meeting the standards requirement, and it's the probably only unique standard where all different water users who are sitting in the same catchment of water basically come together and work towards the source sustainability of that catchment. So the
Hmm.
complexity is not just doing some good things within your fence in your factory and then go for certification. I think that's a easier task. But going out, working with the villagers, communities, local NGOs, government, and private companies within that catchment, and making them commit to a common agenda of source sustainability, water quality, all of that, and then demonstrating that through performance, through evidence to the third party independent auditors who come and verify all of that and then certifies you. So it's a long haul. It's a journey to go through. Almost 4 years we took. Alliance for Water Stewardship. This is Asia's first spirits distillery that got certified. We are the third site after uh, first company is ITC. They have two sites, and then ours is the third site which got certified in India. So there's no other company who got that certification. Uh,
Okay.
how it is aligned is, as I said, in the grain to glass sustainability pillar of our Society 2030, we have a sub pillar called Preserve Water for Life. So, under Preserve Water for Life, what we have committed is that we will replenish more water than we use in our direct operations and water stress sites. Now, Alwar is a red zone, is a water stress site. We've been working there from last 2016 onwards, as I recall, and I've been handling that site from that time. We've replenished more than 130 cubic meter of waters. How do I our commitment on preserving water for life? Then we have commitment on water stewardship within our plant. We have productivity targets using less water liter per liter every year.
Hmm.
Then we have circularity within our factory, reuse of water, the cleaning and let's say all our ETP, STP, treating the water, and no water is discharged. Whatever water is left out is then used for the gardening, landscaping, all of that work. So whole circular economy within the plant and working with the community on water replenishment projects, and where we implement different things like desilting of ponds, provision of check dams at different rivers. One Ruparel River is there. Then even plantation. So we've done plantation with Forest Department in Alwar. More than
Wow.
200,000 trees are planted. So that also contributes to water replenishment, attracting more rains, and improving the whole temperature in that whole geography. So all of that put together is an evidence for our commitment to water stewardship within our Society 2030 strategy. We are committed globally on water stewardship and having more and more sites get certified under AWS standard, and India being probably the second site after Scotland. So
Hmm.
yeah, in
Yeah.
Diageo's world also we are number two in terms of which site got the AWS certification. So yeah, absolutely happy and proud on that too.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Um, Thank you so much. Moving on, some questions about ESG. ESG is quite the buzzword these days. Diageo also has a ESG strategy. So, how is Diageo as an organization navigating the evolving regulatory landscape in India when it comes to developing its ESG strategy?
So this is interesting because while we are speaking in India, but we are a multinational company, and being a MNC, I think there is always let's say always a insight into what's evolving in ESG space, both not only in India but globally. So all what is happening in terms of CSRD or TNFD or different standards like GRI, SASB, or all what is happening in that space is absolutely we are watching the space and kind of tuning or fine tuning or developing our strategy to, if not ahead of the curve, but at least to be balanced and to be able to achieve what these policies are coming up with. And let me give you a few examples what happened in India, which will help you understand how we are navigating, so to speak. So I think the first policy within the ESG framework is very critical is on the extended producer responsibility, the EPR on the plastic waste. I think that's something which is everybody needs to catch up, everybody needs to work on it. So there are two things which Diageo as a strategy we have implemented, or as a goal we have implemented, is that all our packaging material are 100% recyclable. So the policy is on, you must collect back your plastic waste and put it into recycling stream. That's the requirement by Ministry of Environment. But first thing is, if your material is not recyclable, then you will not be able to achieve the recyclable target. So the first target is to make 100% recyclable, which we have achieved. All our materials are widely recyclable, 100%. Now, the second is to partner with the EPR companies and to collect back the equivalent amount of plastic waste. We have been doing it for the last 2 years, 100% EPR. So it's not 20%, 40%, it's 100%, more than 22,000 metric ton, and the numbers are there, which we have collected back and put to the recycling stream. And we will continue to be achieving that kind of a performance on our plastic waste. The other thing on the directives are, we have zero waste to landfills. So there is nothing from our factories that goes to landfills. It's a zero waste to landfill strategy, and we are maintaining that performance from last 2-3 years now against our global target. The second policy kind of a headwinds that came was the BRSR by the SEBI, which made companies report their sustainability performance based on the directive that came from the SEBI. Now, interestingly, we were ahead of the curve. Well, we probably were ahead of the curve that we started aligning our India disclosure against the GRI principles in 2021. So we came up with our independent ESG reporting index that was aligned with GRI principles as well as UNGC principles and SASB sector-specific principles on 3 principles. So we disclosed everything which was beyond our annual report and which was beyond the business responsibility report at that point of time, BRR. The GRI index we reported, ESG index, and the next year government came up with this BRSR guideline. Next year it was voluntary. We did voluntary. Also, we did our BRSR disclosure as well as our ESG index 2. This year we are already there with our BRSR disclosure, and we are working on our ESG reporting index 3. That will be out maybe in a month's time. Now, what does it mean? Because we're talking about policy trends here. Investors of listed companies, they follow the independent ESG ratings from, for example, Sustainalytics or MSCI or the other scores. So with the ESG index coming out, we started engaging with Sustainalytics and MSCI. In both last 2 years, we've got significant score improvement from triple B in MSCI. We've achieved A grading. And when we say A, it's a very tough situation to be in. And we are all there with all the big players like Hindustan Levers and everyone. We are at A with MSCI. With Sustainalytics, we were medium risk at about 25 in their scale. It took us almost 2 years. Now we are 19.5 in their scale of low risk. So
Hmm.
both we made improvement in terms of our ESG ratings. You asked about navigating. This is something which is helping us to shape our strategy. This is helping us to prioritize aspects which the ESG rating agencies are prioritizing.
Yeah.
While we continue to work on all material aspects, but water, health and safety, product safety, these are the issues which investors are concerned about within the larger
Yeah.
ESG
Yeah.
space.
Hmm.
And water, climate, carbon, all of that remains important. And that's how we are trying to navigate through this whole uh,
Yeah.
field. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Ruchika, you have a question?
Yes, I had a question related to the packaging aspect, which you just discussed. So apart from being recyclable, have you also incorporated some kind of design change in the product?
Yeah.
And there's another question aligned to that. How are you leveraging technology, to amplify your sustainability efforts, not just in design or packaging, but the overall supply chain as well?
Yeah, I think very interesting questions. The first thing on the design part is that we have kind of redesigned few of our packaging formats to have the rPET, which is the recycled PET,
Mm-hmm.
PET. FSSAI last year allowed up to 25% of the recycled PET that can be added to the virgin PET. So we have
Mm-hmm.
redesigned our packaging and have included certain formats of packaging where we have a 25% recycled PET coming to our packaging. On other aspect of design is the lightweighting of our glass bottles. So the moment we lightweight the glass bottle, we will have carbon footprint saving in our logistics supply chain
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. So again, that also requires a technology intervention in terms of lightweighting glass weight, glass bottles, but designing glass which is firm enough, stiff enough, all of that, the properties that is required. The other change is on the adding of the, so one is a recycled PET, which is rPET. The other one is the recycled content in our packaging. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, we have glass, but we do not have freshly produced glass. We will have the glass cullets,
Okay.
टुकड़े जो होते हैं. The glass cullets we are
Okay.
collecting back, converting them into our bottles. So recycled content is also being added. Happens in our cartons, outer cartons. The
Uh-huh.
pulping of the cartons happens, and the recycled cardboard comes back to the value chain. So
That's great.
these are few design changes that are happening. On technology, let me quote one example from our from our factories. We collect
Okay.
back the used bottles and we bring back and refill. About
Okay.
if I'm not wrong, more than 20%, which is a
Mm-hmm.
huge number for a
Mm-hmm.
popular business like ours, is collected back. When these bottles are collected back in the factory,
Mm-hmm.
we used to have a running water to clean them and then send them for
Refill.
refilling.
Right.
Hmm.
So through the technology and the process change, now we use same water 9 times to clean these bottles.
Okay.
So it's a
Okay.
9 times saving of water by bringing different nozzles and pressure points and different process in place and collecting back of the water used in batches, and then bottles are used reversely in batches. So ganda pani se kam ganda pani se saaf pani is the process change that happens. So beautiful designing done by our engineering team and the technology supplier, but we are saving huge amount of water, fresh water, by just using this kind of a technology. I give you another technology example on carbon is that we have okay, two examples connected. We have removed coal out of our system, so we do
Mm.
not burn coal in our factories. So we burn biofuel rice husk in our factories for our boiler operation for our
Okay.
distilleries. So that is one big technology change, major capex investment from moving away from coal to finding out where the biofuel is and then convert the technology to have a biofuel mix. When the boiler steam is sent from the boiler to the distillation chamber or distillation tank, between that pipelines, we have put turbines. So
Mm-hmm.
we're using steam to move the turbine to generate electricity.
Okay.
Okay.
So that much amount of electricity we are not buying from the government, from the grid. So we are generating electricity within our turbines, within the steam chambers or steam pipes. Small amount, but I think it's a mindset within the
It
factory
is.
to identify
Mm.
every single renewable energy opportunity. We have solar panels, we have, so wherever it can be circular, wherever it can be renewable, all of that are part of our design change, design thinking. All of that is working in tandem on all the aspects.
Wonderful. Yes, Beda,
Wonderful,
back to you.
Mr. Mehram. Uh, thank you. That was quite an interesting take on the initiatives. Time is tight, so I'll move to our last question. Um, there is a growing scrutiny on the supply chain practices of companies nowadays, right? Especially manufacturing companies, which primarily falls under Scope 3 reporting. So, if I may ask, what are the major challenges that Indian companies face when it comes to declaring Scope 3 emissions?
I think the major challenge is the mindset.
Okay.
Okay, and वो कौन सा business है जिसकी value chain में challenge नहीं है, right? But it's all about mindset. So it actually begins at the boardroom level. Okay. So if my boardroom, if my CEO has the mindset that we need to map the value chain footprint, whether it is agriculture footprint, whether it is logistic footprint, whether it is glass bottles, packaging material, whatever footprint it is, if the mindset at the top level is clear that yes, we need to know our footprint, one. Number two, we need to understand or evaluate the value part of it, kitna kahan hai. And finally, what is it that we need to mitigate? And what is it that we can mitigate? I mean, there may be a boundary which you cannot, right? So, so I think that is the first part that many companies who have done it is because of the mindset at the top level, and who have not done it is because of the mindset at the top level. Okay, but there are intricacies, there are complexities. For example, let me give you example from a very important value chain for many of our multinational companies and Indian companies too, is the agriculture value chain. Now, agricultural value chain is very complex. It's not a captive value chain. And in some cases, is growing potatoes for their chips through a captive farming. They have a control on that farmers and they can really do a mapping of scope 3 within that agriculture footprint, etc. But unlike that, things like atta, things like sugar, things like all of other things, you have an invisible value chain of farmers. You don't know whose sugar cane was crushed to make a sugar which we are eating in our box in our kitchen. So I think these are the complexities when we talk about scope 3, which probably are landscape based footprint. For producing rice, there is a lot
Hmm.
of water that is used. There's a lot of carbon that gets kind of unearthed when the seeding happened through flooding of the paddy farms, etc. So there is a lot happening in the farm sector, which is complex. It's not that you can't get there, but it is complex. Like you mentioned, what are the challenges? Challenges are access, challenges are visibility, challenges are complexity, challenges are whether I can control these 100,000 farmers. I don't think so, right? And there are multiple other factors which these farmers get driven by. They may not be switching from their existing agriculture practices to the sustainable agriculture practices. We have started working in Punjab and Haryana with about 60 villages to work with about 5,000 farmers to
Hmm.
not do not till your fields, do the direct seeding. That will
Hmm.
save carbon. Do not flood your fields with water. Use techniques like alternative wetting and drying techniques. Farmers have adopted it, but scale is something that will take time to happen. Similarly, adding agroforestry to the farmlands. I mean, you must have noticed there used to be trees in the farmlands, and now you will only see fields and fields and no tree in between. So that also adding agroforestry, adding more biomass to your value chain is your scope three. So the complexity is a problem, but even before that, mindset is a bigger problem. If my CEO says we have to do it, I think we have to do it then. So Sam
Right.
Dam Dand Ved, it all
Yeah.
starts from the top. Then
Right.
we have to do it. We have to go after our value chain. We have to ask our vendors, suppliers, what is your footprint? What are you doing in your factories? So a lot has happened in terms of human rights, Veda.
Hmm.
Human rights, all the factories audited, everything is happening, labor inspector. Scope 3 is a new territory where people are finding complexity, but there are solutions and people are started working on it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Um, Last question. There's one more question since the discussion has been very fascinating. Could you shed some light on the strategic partnerships that have helped amplify your sustainability efforts at Diageo?
Yeah, I think uh, one important aspect of the sustainability space, and in the beginning you asked, I have a long career in this. So, basis that experience, I definitely would like to say that sustainability or ESG performance cannot happen alone. It's absolutely not possible if you do not have the mindset of having more partners joining the club and delivering their best of the abilities in that partnership objectives. One of the big example I want to share, SCPWD, we already discussed. Other big partnership we have is that we have a program called Wrong Side of the Road, which is part of our positive drinking, anti-drink drive awareness program. It's a very interactive module, and I encourage all of you to also go through that. It's available on our website. It's a 20 minutes interactive module where a protagonist basically tells that I went for a party and then I had one or two drinks and I drove back and I met with an accident, how stupid I was, all of that. And it's interactive, so you have to click to go next, answer, engage. And there is a pre-survey and a post-survey of this particular module. Now, we started implementing that project in different places with NGOs and all. But to our surprise, we got a biggest partnership in place was partnering with the regional transport offices where the driving license issuance happen. So every driver who comes to get a license, they have to go through different steps. एक driving test देना है, कुछ documentation, different window, and then there is a setup called Tab Lab. So we have set up 10 tablets in the driving licensing authority office. So people who come for taking license, they have to undergo our wrong side of the road training awareness program. And it's a kind of a mandatory step to get a driving license. And what best place to remind people not to drink drive at the time of taking driving license. So we started with about 2 years ago. We are also we reached about 32 RTOs as of March last year, and in this quarter we have just closed. We are around 35. So 35 RTOs, where about 50 people attend our program every day, and even if it is about, let's say, 200 working days, so it's more than 400,000 people every year we end up reaching out to through our awareness program. So that's a great partnership because we want to convey the right message of not drink and drive. And what a great partnership to partner with a licensing authority. So that's one example. I mean, there are many as part of my career and as part of Diageo, but yes, I think the best partnership is partnering with government advancing the national priority agendas, you will get more support from NGOs, from local communities, because they are all in sync with what the government priorities are. So the best partnership is to work on the national priorities with the government.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Navdeep Mehram. Quite a fascinating discussion, and thank you for shedding light on so many of your initiatives. We hope to continue this collaboration in the future and learn more from you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so
Ruchika,
much.
you have any
Thank you so
question? Or...
much.
Yeah, actually, you were just talking about the strategic partnerships, and I had gone through your documents where it's mentioned that you have entered into an agreement with the Nature Conservancy India, and that focuses especially on the farmers and something
Yeah,
called
that's
uh, something called the
regenerative.
grain to glass sustainability goal. So I wanted you to just, briefly talk about that as well.
So yeah, under grain to glass sustainability, because we have to work in our agriculture value chain. So rice, broken rice is one of the important ingredients of our distillation value chain. So we are working with farmers on regenerative agriculture, as I explained earlier, on sustainable agriculture practices, where we are looking at soil health management, reducing water consumption, reducing use of chemical and fertilizers, introducing biodiversity, introducing agroforestry. So these are all practices, green manure, working with the farmers so that our value chain is sustainable. So in addition to that, we work with farmers wherever our factories are, because we work with them on all other practices, such as when we work in Alwar for check dam construction, etc. The farmers next to that check dam are getting benefited, so we work with them also. And there also we try to introduce green manure and less use of pesticides and chemical fertilizers and all of that. So wherever we have footprint, where we have farmers community around us, we work with them. We work with them on these sustainable agriculture practices. So yeah,
Yes.
we will probably be starting to work in Nizamabad, down south, where our factory is next to, in Telangana. So next year we are starting to work with the
Okay.
farmers in Telangana also on regenerative agriculture practices.
Great. It's absolutely important to inculcate that sense of ownership among the community also. So you're doing a great job over there. Yes, Veda, back to you.
Yes, I think we can end the interview here. Thank you for great session, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
Have a
you.
great
Take
day.
care.